trying to figure out where the puppy launched last season. And I think a lot of people said it was May. And I was like, okay, well, if it was late May, then maybe we have another week or two. It just launched today, ladies and gentlemen. I woke up this morning and the puppy was already launched. So yes, you better believe this is my third draft we are about to get in. And yes, Relevant Raja out there in the chat is already saying that, I mean, they have 5,000 entrants. It's been open for what, 4 hours or something like this? It's May. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen, just so I can show you real quick, of course, going to be a best ball tournament, so no time commitment at all during the season. It's going to be a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. First, $75,000, second, $40,000, third, $25,000, fourth, $20,000. Hopefully Nick comes by the live stream today because we actually have a member of the flock who won the $75,000 last year off the $5 buy-in, which is absolutely ridiculous. But nonetheless, we hopped in and it looks like this draft is immediately filled. Hopefully I'm not with too many of you sickos. So we have Jayen out here. Happy to see you out in the chat, my man. I mean, ooh. So if we're going up against Jayen at pick 8, we are going to be able to... We're going to have to make some plays against them. We're going to have to make some plays. Okay. So let's see. We have a lot of people out here. We got Jeep Guy, Nick, Flyboy Medic, 20, Jay Fresh, The Conceit. Bobby says, what's up, Mason? Let's get another going later. I'm out of work in an hour. We're going to do this every single day, my friend. We're going to do this every single day. Okay. So yeah, this is exciting. This is exciting. Now, we have a lot of red badges in here, so I'm assuming that we are probably going to have to go a little wide receiver heavy. We'll figure it out, ladies and gentlemen. We'll figure it out. And hopefully I'm not sweating because it's 1,000 degrees in this room. Real quick, as we wait for this to get started, I know we showed this yesterday, but just in case you didn't see it yesterday, I know 99% of y'all are already on Underdog. Doesn't matter if you signed up yesterday, today, 2 years ago, a year ago. You should have this live Jaylen Brown special. It's a free bet. Go take advantage of it. I mean, we never talk basketball, but if there's going to be a free bet on the app, I mean, I'm going to have to go through. I'm going to have to make sure y'all are taking advantage of it. I will say I parlayed it yesterday with some Klay Thompson unders, and yeah, that definitely did not work, but it is what it is. I mean, maybe I wasted mine, but hopefully you don't waste yours. And of course, if you're not drafting on Underdog already, you can go sign up today with promo code FLOCK. You can find the link in the description. You can find the link in the live chat. You can find it in the comment section. When you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, you're going to get a 100% deposit match and be able to hop in some drafts with us. Get exclusive merch if you use promo code FLOCK. If you're a member of flockfantasy.com as well, get exclusive Underdog credit in your account. But make sure you're taking advantage of that. Okay. So let's see. Mr. B says he got banned from our Discord. I don't know what happened there, my friend. I mean, the only time I ever banned someone in the Discord is they're spamming something horrible. Okay. Sam says, the real question is, why does Mason hate the Bears and Tyler Lockett? Yeah, so we had a lot of people asking us why Tyler Lockett was so low in our rankings. And I had someone commenting saying, oh my gosh, how dare you just say that Geno Smith is a slightly above average quarterback, that he's an okay quarterback. Geno Smith is the best quarterback that's ever walked in this planet. Okay. Really don't understand the thought process of how everybody is in love with Geno Smith here. I mean, I will 100% say Geno Smith was a good quarterback this last season. Do you think he's a top 10 guy? I don't. I don't think Geno Smith is close to being a top 10 player at the position, or maybe he's close, but he's definitely not a top 10 guy in my mind. You have Metcalf, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm sorry, I don't see Lockett as a top 24 guy this season. Let me know. JCM says, how was fajita night with Bijan Robinson? It was immaculate, my friend. I mean, I whipped up the veggies. He grilled the meats. They were great. Kyle says, a dynasty 6-point passing touchdown, long bonus TDs. We're going to go Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow. 4-point passing touchdown format. I'm going to go Jalen Hurts with the rushing upside. Not even going to hesitate. 6-point passing touchdown league. Honestly, my friend, I think it is going to be up to you. Jan says, as a Lockett truther, he is done for. Jan, I saw you thought you were going to be Bijan Robinson at pick 8. I mean, if y'all don't know, if there's anybody that is a bigger Bijan Robinson fanboy, Texas Longhorn fanboy than I am, it is Nash is cashed. I wasn't going to take Bijan Robinson from you, my friend. I was going to see if he could fall to you, but sadly it does not happen. Luke says, I'm not even close to a Geno lover, but Lockett has had like 4,000-yard seasons in a row. Still top 24, in my opinion. I understand the thought process. I mean, but at the end of the day, you add in the best wide receiver in the draft, and Lockett's going to turn 31 this next year. I just have a difficult time buying it. Brennan says, didn't Geno finish as QB5 in PPR last year? From a points per game basis, there's a 0% chance that happened. I will eat my shoe on this live stream live if Geno Smith was a top 5 quarterback from a points per game basis this last season. Let me go ahead and pull this up just so I can make sure we're not embarrassing ourselves here. But let's go fantasy points per game 2022. I may have to yell at the brother real quick to fire up the grill and throw a shoe on there. I'm not going to eat the shoe raw. At least let me cook it if he was a top 5 guy. But like I said. Okay, so Geno Smith from a points per game perspective was the QB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. QB 8, QB 9, depending on where you mark the minimum game requirement. Not going to lie to you, better than I thought. QB 8 from a points per game perspective, I'll be the first person to say better than I thought. I mean, he was right there pretty much tied with Daniel Jones and Tua. So it looks like it's dependent on the format that you're playing in. Anywhere from like the QB 9 to the QB 11 from a points per game perspective. Okay. Now, Isaac says, hey, bro, been loving the content. Had a question. Where would you realistically like to see Eckler and Saquon end up if they don't stay with their current teams? So this is something that I've talked about a decent bit. I mean, if you're going to be looking at Austin Eckler in particular, it's very difficult to find a landing spot for him, right? Because if you're the Los Angeles Chargers, you would rather just keep him on your team and him sit out the entire season than trade him to another roster inside the same division. Like there's a 0% chance he could be a Denver Bronco, a 0% chance he could be a Kansas City Chief, and you probably don't want to send him to another competitor in the AFC. If you are, say, the Los Angeles Chargers, you need to go ahead and you need to look to the NFC to trade away Austin Eckler. And if you're an NFC team that's looking to contend, how many of those teams are there? The NFC contenders, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. They're currently rolling with DeAndre Swift. You have the 49ers. They're currently rolling with Christian McCaffrey. Realistically, what NFC teams could trade for Eckler and give him that contract? I don't know. Jay Peach asking us if we can at least eat the laces. Maybe. We'll see, my man. We'll see. Okay, well, let's swing this back around. Looks like, I don't want to say too much. We'll see. As I know we said, Mr. Bears Army, I believe, said he was in this draft with us at pick 5. He decided to go Stephon Diggs over Tyreek Hill, which is going to be interesting. Okay. He is on the clock. He has right now Chubb and Stephon Diggs. What are we doing here? He goes Andrew. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to get Breece Hall. Super excited about this. If Breece Hall would have gone, I would have been put in a very difficult spot. We probably would have reached on Travis Etienne. But super happy that we are able to go ahead and get Breece Hall pick 30. Really love the start so far. I mean, this is what we've talked about time and time again. Grab your wide receivers rounds 1 and 2 this year. Be able to just take advantage of these mid-round running back values. Love getting Breece Hall here at pick 30. Okay. Sam says, who do you think will be the next running back to make the NFL Hall of Fame? If we're going to go active running backs on this list, I mean, if we're going to go like running back that has played recently for the Hall of Fame, seems like Carlos Hyde's probably going to be on there, right? Let me pull up the career stats for Carlos Hyde, unless I'm mistaken here. No, I'm sorry, not Carlos Hyde. Who am I thinking of? It's embarrassing that I'd say Carlos Hyde. Who is the freaking guy that I'm trying to think of? Frank Gore. Yeah, no, Frank Gore. That was the most embarrassing brain fart I've ever had on live stream. I'd say the next running back, Hall of Fame's probably Frank Gore. I mean, if we're going to go super safe bet, if you're looking at Frank Gore as someone with literally 16,000 career rushing yards. 16,000 career rushing yards, ladies and gentlemen. When's the next time we get a running back that is going to have 16,000 career rushing yards? What is Derrick Henry at in comparison? Let me pull this up just to try to get a rough basis. Derrick Henry is barely at half of that. Derrick Henry's going to turn 30 at the end of this next season, and he's currently sitting at 8,300 rushing yards. Like, just to give some context into how damn good Frank Gore is or was. Sam says AP. Yeah, obviously AP is going to be in it. I mean, if you're talking peak Adrian Peterson, definitely a lot better than peak Frank Gore, but still. InHawk says, ETN falling to the third round is surprising. ETN goes in the third round of literally every single one of these drafts. I mean, I've drafted a lot of Travis Etienne this year. Jayan decides to go with Joe Burrow. Jayan really mixing it up here. Interesting start. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We'll probably pivot. We'll go and take Christian Watson here. If you looked at our wide receiver rankings video that we put out today, we did have Christian Watson at the top of this tier. I mean, usually underdog ADP is extremely sharp. I feel like once you get to late round 4, early round 5, like these guys like Christian Watson, DJ Moore, here's where you can kind of deviate from ADP a bit. Prad says, I'm Prad J17, happy to get in the draft. Happy to have you, my man. Okay, picking at the 112. Let's go ahead and let's dive into this team for you, my man. We currently have Lamb, Garrett Wilson at the 1-2 turn. Then we have Gibbs, Najee Harris. So this is something that I personally do not have a confident answer with quite yet, my friend. And I really don't know which direction to go in. I mean, if I'm going to be looking at that decision that you have at the 1-2 turn, it really comes down to Garrett Wilson, Austin Eckler, right? Would y'all rather have the combination of Garrett Wilson and Jahmyr Gibbs or Austin Eckler and Amari Cooper? Please, we have over 300 people in this live chat. First off, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Let's get this bad boy to at least 100 likes. Second off, spam the chat. What combo would you rather have? Eckler and Amari or Garrett Wilson and Jahmyr Gibbs? Wilson and Gibbs, Wilson and Gibbs, Wilson and Gibbs, Wilson and Gibbs. Everybody's Wilson and Gibbs. I honestly expected y'all to say Eckler. Oh my gosh. Jay Peach with some inside scouting here. That is awesome, my man. That is crazy that so many people would rather have Wilson Gibbs. I mean, obviously, it's like the two old guys versus the two young ascending players. So it's an interesting spot in general. Dominic says Eckler regression incoming. 100% Austin Eckler is going to regress, right? Like, you can't project Austin Eckler to be the same player that he was a year ago. But I mean, if Austin Eckler regresses and he goes from being maybe the number 1 running back in fantasy to the number 2 running back in fantasy, I don't know. Is he worth a second round pick? I mean, if he regresses to being the running back 5 in fantasy, is he worth a second round pick? Like it is going to be difficult. Cheddar says winning to be Eckler and CD. No, I think Lamb's a lock in there regardless. Dominic says Wilson's going to put up 2019 Davante Adams numbers. I would love to see it. I would be willing to bet against it, though, my friend. Love to see it, be willing to bet against it. Now we have DJ Moore, Hawkinson, Michael Pittman. So DJ Moore falling to the 5th round. I think that's probably the first time I've seen DJ Moore fall that far. Okay, so let's swing this back around. Humble legend on the clock has Jalen Hurts. And goes Terry McLaurin here. Now, in Bears Army, back up with Chubb, Diggs, Christian Kirk. Goes Aaron Jones. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Drake London. Easy pick. So we have two wide receivers that are pretty damn good options going into year 2. Obviously, the issue that you're going to have with Drake London is just the passing volume in Atlanta really isn't going to be there. I mean, if Arthur Smith does accomplish what he wants to, the Atlanta Falcons will probably lead the NFL in rushing attempts this next year. So there's not going to be a lot of passing volume to go around. But if you're looking at 21-year-old wide receivers in their market share numbers year 1, Drake London's legitimately at the very, very top of that list. Very top of that list. Okay. Spade says Eckler wants a payday next year, so he's going to get the ball this year. I mean, honestly, Eckler is going to get a payday before the season starts. I don't know, maybe if I'm a little bit, naive in assuming this, but if I'm looking at Austin Eckler, the man's done everything that he's needed to earn that payday. He's requesting a trade if he doesn't get it. I mean, hell, the Chargers still have Herbert on a rookie deal. Like, I'd imagine you probably have, I want to say soon, an Eckler payday. The man definitely deserves it. I'll say that. Okay, George Pickens, J.K. Dobbins, 60-61. Okay, let's swing this back around. So far with this team, we have Breece Hall, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Christian Watson, and Drake London. I really like this team. I think this is a strong roster. Sam says 5th round, Brandon Ayuk. That's rich. Yeah, in my mind, I'm not a big Ayuk guy. Let me see how many drafts I've taken Ayuk in so far this year. I don't know if I've taken Ayuk in a single one, if I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. Done about 20 drafts. And I've taken Brandon Ayuk. Oh, I've taken him in a draft. Never mind. Ignore me. Yeah, I've drafted Brandon Ayuk. Never mind. Godwin goes 65. That's going to be Jayen's second wide receiver off the board. Chev on the clock. Only has one wide receiver. I'd imagine you end up seeing Chev go with the receiver here. Goes Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce was actually who we were wanting. I don't really know what we should do with this selection. I just don't know, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and take Swift for diversification purposes. Like, I want to take a running back. I think we may have Joe Mixon ranked higher than DeAndre Swift. But if Swift has an ADP of like 62, looks like people wanted Pacheco. Swift has an ADP of 62, and you're getting Pacheco and Mixon off of the 6-7 turn sometimes. Maybe we can go through and try to stay a little bit balanced by taking DeAndre Swift here. I mean, it's tough. Williams says Chargers can't pay Eckler because Herbert's going to get $260 million. Need to save the cap space. Can't pay a running back $10 million a year. I mean, the thing is, if you're the Chargers, though, you can't just restructure the contract where you have Eckler getting paid for this year and then next season and then he's cuttable. Like, we can't pay and backload the Herbert deal. I don't know. Of course, I'm no expert. Lunar says he would have said DeAndre Swift. I'm surprised more of y'all didn't want Joe Mixon. Like I was saying, I think Joe Mixon was actually our highest ranked running back of the group. It's just more so about trying to stay diversified there with Swift having a significantly higher ADP. Okay. Dameon Pierce is who I really wanted. Like, I think Dameon Pierce is a tier ahead of all those guys. Hollywood Brown goes off the board at 72. There's going to be a big tier of wide receivers that makes it back around to us if we want them. Deshaun Watson, not really going to be someone we're interested in. We don't have Amari Cooper. I guess we could take Njoku. We could take Elijah Moore later on. But in reality, and just in this range, I'm not really going to be entertaining Deshaun Watson here. Okay, Craig goes Pollard, Akers at running back. Goes Deshaun Watson, 74. Good for us. Like I said, really didn't care for Watson. Lunar says, only reason I don't like Mixon is I don't know what's going on with the legal stuff. I feel like no news is good news, right? Maybe I'm ignorant to say that, but I mean, it seems like the crickets that we're getting out of Cincinnati can't be a bad sign. Just the fact that nobody's talking about it. Chris says, what are your thoughts on ESPN Fantasy? I haven't played on ESPN since maybe I was in high school. Like, I don't know if I played in ESPN League since like 10 years ago. Okay, so Pacheco off the board. Addison goes. Honestly, I was thinking Addison was going to be our pick here. We may go ahead and just take Rachaad White. I mean, we can use a running back. White's going to catch the ball to the backfield. What I kind of like about investing into Rachaad White here is they obviously do nothing at the running back position this next season. And while, yes, it's going to be a very bad offense, there's still a couple of veteran running backs that are just like looming in free agency that you could see going to a team like Kansas City, going to a team potentially like Buffalo, going to a team like Cincinnati, and Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, right? Those guys could go in and maybe not be starters, but maybe operate in like a pseudo running back by committee. And it may be difficult for us to project out what the backfield share would be for someone like Pacheco, right? If Leonard Fournette were to go there. And I'm saying Pacheco, great value in round 7. I would go ahead and I'll take Isaiah Pacheco in round 7 as well. However, with Tampa, I mean, it's kind of a blessing and a curse that the offense is going to be so bad. It's a team that's probably going to be going for Caleb Williams next year. So we don't have to worry about them bringing in Leonard Fournette. We don't have to worry about them bringing in Kareem Hunt, bringing in Ezekiel Elliott. You just kind of know it is going to end up being Rachaad White. Okay, now we have a run on wide receivers here at the end of the 7th. Jan says he auto-drafted Kadarius Toney. I mean, he needed a wide receiver regardless. Wanted Deontay. Dominic is very excited about Caleb Williams. Can y'all let me know, where do you think Caleb Williams is going next year? Who do you think earns the number 1 overall pick? It's going to be interesting because I think there are 4 teams that are in the running that are in unique spots. Arizona obviously also has the Houston Texans pick. Chicago could be in the running as well. I know a lot of people think Chicago is going to be vastly improved, how they earned the number 1 overall pick this past year. And they also own the Carolina Panthers selection. So those are 4 teams that could possibly be near the bottom of the standings. And it's interesting because 2 of them own the other 2's first round picks. Now, Cody asking if we're going to get PPR rankings on Flock Fantasy. Yeah, so the dynasty rankings we have on flockfantasy.com right now are going to be for full PPR formats. We also have our best ball rankings up for those underdog drafts. The reason we don't have regular redraft rankings out quite yet is just given the fact that nobody's really in regular redraft leagues at this moment. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tua. I mean, we have both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. We're getting Tua a little bit behind ADP. So we're going to go draft them. I know it looks like we're just taking the guys at the very top of ADP, but sometimes naturally that's just how the board falls to, and we're able to take value here. We need a quarterback. He stacks with both our first and second round selections. The only way this team's any good is if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are both top 10 in the NFL in receiving. And the only way that happens is if Tua's like top 5 in the NFL in passing. Okay. C-Slave says, I was in your last draft. Yeah, so y'all don't know I was in a draft right before this one. I was the number 1 pick, took Jefferson. We were the top 2 projected teams. Hopefully I didn't embarrass myself, my man. I'll say the draft did not go as I wanted in about rounds 13, 14, 15 in the one that we got in before this live stream. But thank you for coming out and hanging out with us in the chat, my friend. Looks like we have a lot of people saying that you're either going to have the Cardinals or the Buccaneers coming away with that number 1 overall pick. I mean, I would definitely make the bet that Arizona is in the sweepstakes there when it comes to Caleb Williams, just because they get 2 shots, right? They can get it with either their own pick or you could get it with, the Houston Texans pick. Kiona coming out, thank you so much, says, buy or hold Javonte Williams in Dynasty. We're in a 12-team 1 quarterback format where we have Bijan, Pollard, Stevenson, Dillon, Rachaad White. Good at the other positions except tight end. The issue with Javonte Williams is this is a running back that I'll be 100% willing to admit he has upside, right? But if you're looking at the current price tag of Javonte, like this is a running back that's consistently seen his value fall. I'll go ahead and pull up flockfantasy.com real quick so I can let you know where we have Javonte Williams ranked in my dynasty rankings, as well as just the overall averages that we have on the site there. Okay, so we have a little run on quarterback after we take Tua. So it makes me feel good about my Tua selection. And then I think we'd have been a little less likely to be able to have Tua make it back around to us to pick 102 if we decided not to take him and really try to stretch it and see if he would fall to us at 102. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's pull up Javonte Williams. Okay. Currently, we have Javonte at 71 overall, if you're going to look at the averages of all the creators. And if you're going to look at just my averages, I mean, I have him right there at 70 as well. So if you were looking to sell Javonte Williams and you wanted a tight end in return, someone that I personally have ranked over Javonte Williams is I would go ahead and I would take Dallas Goedert, my friend. Dallas Goedert. Okay. Now we have Njoku 99, Jameson, Odell 97, 98. Akuno says a seller hold. Yeah, I understood what you're saying. If you really wanted a tight end, I think you'd have to be looking at getting Dallas Goedert in return. Dominic says Javonte will be money next year. Stupid talent. I don't know. I'm a little hesitant to buy into Javonte, if I'm going to be honest. Okay, so not too interested in Aaron Rodgers here. I understand that we have Breece Hall, and sure, if Rodgers makes it back around to us in the 10th round, I'll be willing to pull the trigger on him, but I don't necessarily think having Breece Hall means that we have to go through and take Rodgers with this pick. I'd kind of rather just build around 3 quarterbacks here. Kamara goes. So if we're going to look at the wide receivers versus the running backs that'll be available to us on the way back around, the wide receivers will be looking at like Juju Smith-Schuster. The running backs will be looking at like Damian Harris, Khalil Herbert, Devin Achane, as well as Samaje Perine. So we'll take the last wide receiver in this tier. We'll go ahead and we'll take Zay Flowers. First rookie in the draft. I mean, Zay Flowers, not a super big fan of the talent, not a super big fan of the situation. But I mean, if we're going to be getting up here 102, I would personally probably rather have Zay Flowers over like Odell Beckham Jr. this next season. I think it's more so just to play like he's the last wide receiver in the tier. There are going to be a lot of running backs that we can be looking at on the way back around. Okay. Margaret Ward says, I think Tampa is going to be better than people think this year. If Baker pulls through, we can make a wild card. Okay. Keep in mind, Mark is a Bucs fan. Okay. So maybe a little bit biased there, my man. I'm not going to lie. I probably will be rooting for y'all. You know, I was a former Tampa resident, but I don't know. Like, let me pull up Las Vegas expected win totals this next year. See what teams are at the bottom. Brees says, Lamar said he wants 6,000 passing yards this season. I mean, I want a lot of things as well. I'd like to walk outside and see a Ferrari sitting in the driveway, but sadly, things don't usually go our way. But anyway, if we're going to be looking at this, the teams with the lowest win total, the Texans, the Cardinals, obviously the Cardinals own both those picks. The Bucs and the Colts are then there at 3 and 4. Interesting to see the Colts so low. Really interesting to see the Colts sitting there at 6.5. Now that's minus 150. So it looks like most people are taking the over on Colts 6.5. But really interesting. Juju goes 109. Yeah, so this is why we decided to go take Zay Flowers, right? Like I was saying, not the biggest Zay Flowers fan in the world, but I mean, I really didn't want to have to be taking Allen Lazard, Jacoby Myers here. If we're looking at the quarterbacks that are going to be in this range, Geno Smith, we don't have Metcalf. I mean, we don't have Jackson Smith and Jigba. We don't have Tyler Lockett. So we have no reason to take Geno Smith. Jared Goff, we don't have anybody for the Detroit Lions either. We have no reason for Goff. So we were actually hoping that we were going to get Damian Harris making it back to us. Damian Harris is actually one of my most drafted players at this point. But if we were going to look at this situation now, we're going to monopolize all the backfield touches in Philadelphia. We're going to take DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny. I think it's going to be interesting and can lead to some unique combinations, possibly in the fantasy football tournament that we would have here in this puppy draft. We need a running back. I think that if we're monopolizing all the backfield touches in Philly outside of Jalen Hurts, could be a good situation overall. Caleb says, Geno or Lance in Dynasty? We have Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. If you were talking to a smart person, they would tell you Geno Smith. But you were talking to the number one leader of the Trey Lance fan club. So, I'm going to say Trey Lance. Dominic says, I really like the Penny Swift stack this year. I think it's fine. Man Guy says, Flowers the biggest bust of this draft, no doubt. I'll say if people are truly hyping up Zay Flowers to be as good as like either JSN, Johnston, or Addison, Zay Flowers is never going to live up to those expectations, or at least in my mind, he's highly unlikely to. However, if we're going to get Zay Flowers behind Jameson, behind Odell, freaking behind Courtland Sutton, I'm completely fine paying that price. Okay. Brandon says, what's the most sizzling hot take you have for this upcoming season? So, y'all know last year our most drafted player was Josh Jacobs. I thought Josh Jacobs was criminally undervalued. That was probably our biggest stance last year. This upcoming season, my hottest take is most likely Trey Lance, top 10 quarterback, locked and loaded. I don't care. Trey Lance, top 10 quarterback, locked and loaded. JCM says, what's your dark horse Super Bowl contender? I swear to God, y'all remember I said Philadelphia Eagles last year. I didn't really truly understand how good Jalen Hurts is going to be. I wish I did, but we were calling Philly for the overall roster last season. If I'm looking at dark horse Super Bowl contender, let's go ahead and let's pull this up. So I'm going to look for teams that have a projected win total under 10 games. So those teams include the Cowboys, the Jags, the Chargers, the Dolphins, the Saints, the Jets, the Lions. How about this? Lions right now are minus 150 to go over 9 wins. I'll have something on the opposite end of the spectrum. If y'all want a hot take for a team that I think doesn't have a chance to win a playoff game, I think that both the Chicago Bears and Detroit Lions, I know this maybe going to make people a little emotional, and it's because it's the truth. I think it's highly unlikely either the Bears or the Lions win a playoff game. Overcome says Jaguars dark horse. I want to say it, but look at the overall conference. Look at how, and I want to say the Dolphins as well. But Dominic says Jets, if I had to choose from the list. Think about the AFC, though. That's my issue. If you were to bet on the Jags, right? The Jags in the NFL playoffs are going to have to go through most likely the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, at least 2 of those games. At least 2 of those teams. More likely than not, the Jags would have to beat 2 of those teams to get to the Super Bowl. It's just so tough to go through and be that confident on any of those quote unquote dark horse options, specifically in the AFC. Okay, so I think we may actually grab a running back here. Russ wouldn't correlate with anything that we have. Kyler is someone that I've been taking in an absurd amount of these drafts, I'm going to be honest with you. But whenever I take Kyler, I really like grabbing 3 quarterbacks. I don't necessarily know if we can grab 3 QBs if we grab Kyler here. So instead, I'm probably going to go through and take Elijah Mitchell. We'll probably be done drafting running backs at this point, but Elijah Mitchell, I really like the profile in that I think you're going to get some random touchdowns from Elijah Mitchell through the course of the season, like we saw at the very end of the year last year, even with the healthy Christian McCaffrey. And then if CMC were to go down, I think Elijah Mitchell could be a top 10 running back in fantasy. So I think you have a very nice mix of some usable weeks for Mitchell and then a ton of upside if the situation were to change. Okay. Sam says the Lions won't be able to beat the Vikings. They still have no room. I understand the Lions are NFL. The Lions and the Bears seem like they are America's teams, if I'm going to be honest with you. With the amount of support and the amount of irrational exuberance that you see for both the Lions and the Bears, Everybody loves the Lions, right? Everybody. And this isn't a take that I had, 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I'd literally make fun of people for saying it. 5 years ago, I'd go, oh my gosh, this guy's an idiot. The only thing that matters are the players on the football field. The players on the football field, control everything. But at some point, when you see a team just be dysfunctional year in and year out from a top to bottom standpoint for like a 30-year sample, at some point, teams like the Browns, the Lions, even the Jets, you have to look at the team itself and go, it can't just be they always take the wrong players, right? It can't be just year in and year out. They always grab the wrong guy. It has to be something a little bit deeper than that. It's not like year in and year out, they always pick the wrong coach. Probably a lot of players that went to the Lions, a lot of coaches that went to the Lions that would have been fine if they went to, the New England Patriots. They went to an organization that wasn't dysfunctional top to bottom. So, I don't know. I know there's so much hype surrounding those guys, specifically just because, they do have a lot of talent on the roster. Naturally, that's what you get when you pick at the very top of the draft year in and year out forever. But they're just, I don't know. Overcome says, who is this year's Josh Jacobs? Running back position, I don't know if I have an extremely strong take. Jacobs was our guy round 7 last year. He's going a little bit higher this year, but I think if we had to find a Josh Jacobs, someone that's still on their rookie contract, that's possibly in an improving offense, that will catch the ball out of the backfield, that people are extremely off of because they just view him as a horrible talent. I think Najee Harris probably fits the mold, right? If I had to pin someone down like Josh Jacobs, who is someone that everybody thinks is horrible and they think that they are way smarter than everybody else and they can just say, oh, this guy's bad. This guy's bad. Jalen Warren's better. Zamir White's better. Seems like that guy's Najee Harris round 4. So Najee round 4 has been someone I've been taking a ton. If we're looking round 5, round 6, Dobbins is also a running back that I've been drafting a ton. Dameon Pierce is a running back I've been drafting a ton. My most drafted player overall is still probably Trey Lance. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Kyler Murray. I understand Kyler Murray will miss a large chunk of this next season. We don't have anybody in Arizona, but if I'm going to get Kyler Murray in the middle of round 12, I'm going to be fine just going ahead and pulling the trigger here, given the fact that we are trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17 with the way this payout structure is, and with the fact that Kyler Murray will have the elite level ceiling at that point. Money Batala coming out with the donation. Thank you so much. Says, had Waller, Kenneth Walker, and Michael Pittman. They sent Kelsey, Ayuk, and Bateman, accepted that trade instantly. Team stacked with Breece Hall on our bench. Okay, so we traded Darren Waller for Travis Kelsey, massive upgrade there. We moved Pittman for Ayuk, kind of a lateral move, and we moved Kenneth Walker for Bateman. So, if you're a contender this next year, completely fine with it. I will say, in general, if I'm going to be looking at where Travis Kelsey's going in best ball redraft leagues, I'm going to have a little bit of a tougher time actually paying that price, but I don't know. It seems like a very reasonable price point to pay right now in terms of the trade you got him at, not drafting him at the very top end of the first round here. So we have a little run on tight end, which obviously does not help us considering the fact that, we have a total of 0 tight ends on this roster, but we'll figure it out. I think I know what we're going to do with this team. I like this team. I do. We're probably not taking a quarterback anytime soon. Jordan Love would correlate with Christian Watson, but I feel like Tua 91, Kyler 139. I do want to take a third quarterback, most likely to to kind of cover the beginning portion of the season when Kyler Murray's not going to play. It just seems like taking another one round 13 is just a little bit of a stretch when it comes to just the overall volume. Value you're looking at. Okay. This team has 2 tight ends, so I think we assume that they pass on Knox. Dawson Knox, you bring in Dalton Kincaid round 1. Yes, I understand everybody is in on Dalton Kincaid to be possibly the second player on this team in targets. Tight ends historically don't produce year one. I don't know. Can we pass on him here? Jalen Warren off the board. We're not really looking at running back. We'll go ahead. We'll take Dawson Knox. We'll catch the fallen knife. I mean, probably going to be someone that continues to lose value, to be honest, but it is what it is. I mean, we're going to have to grab 3 of these guys regardless. In my mind, looks like a lot of the wide receivers are about the same in this range. Maybe you can make an argument we have to go ahead and we have to take DJ Chark and see what tight end makes it on the way back around. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind taking another tight end on the way back around. Tyler coming out with a donation. Thank you so much, my man. Trent says, any consideration with taking Mike White? Hell to the no. No. Maybe if you were like in a super flex underdog draft and you were looking for a last round pick to maybe get a little unique, maybe you take Mike White. But in reality, say you were to get the Mike White selection correct, how valuable is it really? Like if you get the Mike White call correct and he comes in and he's like a low-end QB2, I don't know. Okay. Now, Tyler Higbee goes 154. I would have liked taking Tyler Higbee on the way back around to pick 163 if we would have had the option. Really like the Devin Singletary value as well. I mean, Jalen Warren, Devin Singletary, guys that I do like taking in that they're just in very clear-cut backfields where you just know the 2 guys that are in there and you don't really have to worry about another one coming in. Real quick, we're about to hit 150 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there and drop a like on the stream. It helps us out a ton. Massive Cream says, how are we feeling about James Conner this year? I mean, the issue obviously is just the offense is so damn bad. But I mean, in reality, with where James Conner's currently going, I mean, I'm fine with him. Okay. Talk me out of it, ladies and gentlemen. Talk me out of it. Nico Collins, 160. Talk me out of it. Here's your chance. Tell me not to do it. Tell me not to do it. You got one more pick to try to convince me. All right. Love it, Sean. Love it, Sean. We're going to get him. All right. He's coming home. My man, all's going to be okay. All will be okay. We'll go into this next year. We'll be the starting quarterback for a NFL team. I don't know who exactly, but hopefully the 49ers. We'll have a lot of rushing upside. I don't know what else behind it, but we'll figure it out together. Ooh. Yeah, y'all know I have to go through. You know I have to take our guy Trey Lance there. It's impossible for me not to. I get the itch. I see him at the top of ADP. I'm like, okay, yeah. If Trey Lance is a top 5 quarterback this next year in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, and I do not have him in as many leagues as possible, I will have to cry myself to sleep every single night. So we're going to have to go. Austin, who is Andy Holloway? Let me pull this up. Oh, the footballers guy. Okay. JCM says, yes, we need a Flock and Ballers collab. Reach out to him, my man. Tell him you need it. Tell him you need it. Okay. Mike says, am I dumb for thinking Kyler is a decent value? I personally really like Kyler Murray in these best ball tournaments, considering the fact that we're really just trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17. And we're trying to look for top 1 percentile outcomes. We're trying to chase the highest ceiling possible. In my mind, Kyler Murray has an extremely high ceiling. So, I don't know. Obviously, at this point, we can't take another quarterback. We're exclusively wide receiver, tight ends. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Rondale Moore. No idea if he's going to be any good. Most likely he's trash, but we need to bring in a few more wide receivers. We have Kyler Murray, so it'd be nice to bring in some correlation to that Arizona Cardinals offense. So, yeah, we definitely need wide receiver. We need someone with Arizona at some point. He's at the top of ADP. I don't know if he's any good, but we'll figure it out. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's scroll this down. We have McCole Hardman, Khalil Shakir, 176, 177. Beast Patel says, is Allen Robinson washed? Yes, Allen Robinson has nothing. I have no interest in going through and adding in Allen Robinson in a single league. I literally could not care less. Okay, so we have a little run on wide receiver afterwards. We have Irv Smith Jr. going off the board at 175. So this team is going to be a little weird from a roster construction standpoint, considering the fact that we draft 3 quarterbacks. When we wait until the 13th, like 16th, 17th, 18th round to grab our 3 tight ends, we're going to have to go, to grab tight end, we're probably going to have to draft 3 of them. So I don't love the roster from a construction standpoint. I like the players we have. This team's just all in on is Tua a top 5 quarterback. If Tua's top 5 to top 3 in the NFL in passing yards this next year, yeah, this team's pretty damn good, but we're heavily banking on Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle here. Okay. Can't take QB. It doesn't matter how far Stroud, Kenny Pickett fall. We literally cannot take another one. We can't honestly take another running back either. We're exclusively wide receiver, tight end from here on, ladies and gentlemen. Tajay Spears goes 184. Kareem Hunt 185. Okay. Sorry, just going to sit here and think a bit. We'll go ahead. We'll take Jaden Reed. Maybe we'll find some rookie upside down the stretch. We have Christian Watson, so maybe this can be a correlated bet saying that the Green Bay Packers passing offense is better than people are expecting. We're going to go ahead. We're going to grab 2 tight ends here at the very end of the draft. But I'm actually going to go live on the Dynasty channel in about 10 minutes. So I'm actually probably going to have to bounce from this live stream so we can set up the other live stream and make sure we're good to go and fill up our water. So, of course, if you want to continue to hang out with us, Dynasty Football Flock will be live at 5 p.m. Eastern. And of course, if you want to get in a draft with us on this live stream or a live stream this year, get in a draft in a public lobby, go take advantage of Underdog Fantasy. They just launched the puppy, which is a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool. We actually had a member of the flock winning the puppy last year and winning that $75,000, which is awesome. And then also real quick, even if you're already on Underdog, make sure you're going and getting that free bet that's up. Just if you use promo code FLOCK today, last year, the year before, this should be live for you right now. So make sure you're going to go ahead and take advantage of that. And also promo code FLOCK gets you a 100% deposit match. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. Really hope that we get to see you out in the live stream in about 10 minutes on the Dynasty channel. If not, really hope that you have a great Friday night, and I'll see you with the live stream tomorrow.